Are your term loan expectations too high? Hi, folks. This is Roy Martin with Conterra Ag Capital. This is another video in a series we've put together to assist ag borrowers who are seeking long-term financing and anybody else that might be interested in these topics. And today we're going to talk about term loan expectations from the borrower's side. As lenders, we receive applications every day. And invariably, you as borrowers come in, you have something in mind, on that application. You're going to have your loan amount. You're going to estimate the value of your property. You might even have an interest rate in mind when filling out your application. And then you've probably already marked on your calendar a date that you'd like to see this all completed. Then after your lender analyzes some basic financial information and you have that initial conversation with your lender, all of a sudden things aren't going quite as well as expected. Well, let's explore some of the reasons why this might be happening. Let's talk about the loan amount first of all. What's the loan for? Is it to refinance, to purchase a property, or is it for a development of a permanent crop? That needs to be clearly stated on the application. What is the purpose of that loan? Some borrowers will come in and ask for, as much as they can possibly get. Not a good idea. Unless you're extremely strong financially, most of the time this doesn't work. You really need to tailor make your loan for what the needs are. What are your actual needs? And don't borrow any more than is absolutely necessary. Keep in mind that whatever you borrow is going to have to be repaid with interest. So just borrow what you're actually needing. Don't strain your cash flow unnecessarily. The other thing is, trying to get too much cash out of this process sometimes can be frowned upon. And if it's too much cash and again the credit worthiness is not there, the loan can actually be rejected for trying to get too much cash out. So keep an eye on that as well. Some cash out sometimes is fine. It again depends on the financial strength. But to try and get a lot of cash out of a ag term loan transaction normally doesn't work too well. The property value. Borrowers sometimes overvalue their property. That's kind of common. It's human nature. Most of us think our property or our valuables are worth more than they are. The best thing to do is get some comparable sales in your area and compare those to your property. Make sure they're like sales to your property, and that's your best estimate. If you have a recent appraisal, be sure to submit that to your lender as well. That helps. Be careful relying on an older appraisal if you're in especially out in California in a tough water area, and those water requirements have changed in the last few years. An older appraisal might be actually worth more than your property is today. Just another thing to keep in mind. Interest rates. I've done other videos on interest rates that you might want to pull up, go into more detail in this subject, but interest rates stated by your ag lender might be higher than what you had in mind, and more than likely the reason for that is because you're keeping an eye on home mortgage rates, watching the newspaper, hearing on the news what home mortgage rates are doing. All these interest rates being quoted are based on various indexes. They're not all the same. So just keep in mind your ag rate is probably going to be a little higher than a home mortgage rate. The trend might be the same, and you do want to definitely watch these trends, but the rates are likely to be higher. Time to complete. As you found out, or probably finding out, this ag term loan process is not very simple. Those of us as lenders, we try to keep this process as seamless and as work as smoothly as possible, but we're not the only party involved. It starts with you, the borrower. Once again, getting timely and timely and organized information into us, that's probably one of the biggest things, is getting information to the lender in a timely fashion and being organized and precise. The lender will, they're going to evaluate it, then they're going to have questions. There might be additional information required, and if all that checks out, then they've got to order an appraisal. Appraisal, depending on the appraiser's workload, that's going to take additional time. If there's loans that need to be paid off, there's going to be assets and debts that might need to be verified. Preliminary title reports are going to have to be issued. There might be legal issues that arise that are going to have to be taken care of, and so all this takes time. Your lender is always going to hurry these processes along as much as they possibly can, but again, they can't accomplish all of these tasks themselves. Patience, good communication, understanding is usually required. And just a little tip for you, always start this process sooner than you originally thought would be necessary. It invariably takes a little longer than our borrowers think, even than we think sometimes, but there's always things that come up, like I just previously mentioned. So financial information, again, there's other videos on this or blogs that'll go into more detail. But one thing you might want to do is have a conversation with your CPA or your in-house controller, if you're lucky enough to have one, and find out where you stand prior to your loan request. Where's your current ratio, your debt to asset ratio, total debt coverage, how are you shaping up there? What's your estimated loan to value? If you take a look at this prior to coming in to see your lender, you can identify some of the weaknesses, and then maybe help point out the mitigations for those to your lender. That's going to go a long ways in proving your management abilities with your organization. So, if some of these things come as a surprise to you, again, your lender might lose some confidence if you can't adequately explain any deficiencies you might have. So bottom line, be realistic in your expectations, and the process will invariably go much smoother. So if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to call the number on your screen or visit our website at conteraag.com. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you again. Thank you.